Hi, welcome to the Electric Spirit Podcast. Today, we welcome to the show Marilyn Penny. This episode is titled Unlocking Love, Clearing Relationship Blocks Using the Akashic Records. Marilyn's own transformation has led her to serve others on their journey to connecting in a loving, fulfilling partnership. She works with the Akashic Records to clear relationship blocks for wounded souls who are carrying around soul level blocks from previous experiences. They may have struggled with relationships throughout this lifetime or ended a long union and want to find love again. Through awareness, understanding, acknowledgement, and guidance, they go on a journey of self discovery to ultimately attract their person. You can find Marilyn at lifeguidecoaching.ca. And hi, Marilyn. Welcome to the Electric Spirit Podcast.
Hi, Jamie Lynn. It's so nice to be here.
This is great. And could you please tell us about yourself? Tell the audience about yourself.
Sure. So I am a life coach, but also a spiritual life coach, and also a relationship coach as well, because I do work on relationships and relationships with yourself and relationships with each other and relationships even with your space. So,
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you use Akashic Records to help people. How do you do that?
So for those of you who don't know what the Akashic Records are, they reside in the fifth dimension. So that is sort of, if you think of your body as the third and your mind as the fourth, the fifth is sort of one level up from that and before the spirit world. And this is like in practical terms, because I'm a very practical person. I have a background in business, so I'm super practical in my work. It's like the internet for the soul. So it records all your choices and consequences that have happened to you since you were created as a soul. So if you've made a negative choice that wasn't great for your soul, that will be recorded in the records. Also the good stuff too, but I mostly focus on what's the blocky, what's the yucky stuff that you need to clear out. So that's how I work with them. And it's not a trance thing. I have a practical way of accessing the records. I was trained to do that. And I have a modality that I follow, a protocol to uncover the blocks.
Wow, that's great. I like that. And why do we struggle with relationships as humans?
I think a lot of it has to do with the relationships that we know, and we kind of model them. Like when you're born, you have a parent relationship that you see all the time. So if that's not necessarily a healthy relationship, you might model that, or you might have fear of having the same relationship when you grow up and get into a relationship, right? And we also have past lives where we've experienced relationships, and some of those may not have gone too well as well. So we may tend to repeat that behavior over and over again because we're kind of, that's what we know, that's our comfort zone. So it's really important for us to understand where we're at and how to create more healthy relationships.
Oh, that's great. And how does soul clearing differ from other healing modalities?
I think soul clearing, I mean, there are lots of modalities around soul clearing. What I do specifically is go in and remove blocks. So I just find it super practical. There's other sort of past lifetime, like past life regression, where you get details and you go through healing process with that. Mine is actually, I go in and grab the blocks. So I'll tell you, so many lifetimes ago, this was going on and this block was created that's repeating for you. Let's talk about it and let's remove it. And then I can also tell you, say, when you were 13, this happened to you. What happened around that time? Here's a block that's stuck. So let's remove that. So that's sort of what I see it as. It's sort of like trying to get back to where we are when we were created as a soul, which was perfect. Right.
Right.
And then we just created those little dents and things we've, banged into a few things along the way. And we just want to kind of polish up and, kind of have a bit of a reset.
Exactly. I see. And how do you know if something happened to somebody at 13? I'm just curious. Is that through doing like meditation or just getting into their records or?
No, I actually access the records. So I'll find out what blocks are coming up, and then I'll sort of put them into patterns. So this could be, some are past life and some are present life. And then when I have a pattern together for a present life, I'll just simply ask with a pendulum, what age did this happen?
Oh,
So
interesting.
then, yeah, and I can't tell you the story because the story would have happened to you, right? So
Sure.
I just asked the client what was going on when you were 13 or 25 or 46 that is causing this block to get stuck and you carrying it around.
Oh, wow. Okay. And let's see. Oh, what does living authentically mean to you?
It means to me, it means making my own choices. Because I mean, for me,
Mm.
I went from living with my parents for 25 years, briefly lived with my brother, and then with my husband for 25 years. so,
Yeah,
so
I read
I
that
didn't,
on your
yeah,
profile.
I didn't live alone until I was 52. And I didn't really understand that I wasn't really making my own choices. There were always other people influencing my choices. So, and not everybody can have that situation where you can actually live on your own. If you're young and you have an opportunity to do that, I highly recommend it.
Right.
I noticed that with my daughter, she had went away to school and lived with other girls and stuff, but that she's really become much more independent and made her own choices from a young age. For me, I kind of had to learn who I was in my 50s because I didn't have that opportunity. So if you really feel like you're making choices based on what other people want or need of you, it's really good to sort of step back and say, is this really what I want? Or is this because so and so wants it or so and so wants it? Right. So
Yeah.
that's part of it. And just doing and being what I want to be. It's really, so many of us don't live authentically because we feel like we have to be something, we have to be a certain way for other people to accept, especially spiritual people, right? Like
Yeah.
it's better now. Like I've heard you talk on um, other interviews that it's more accepted now than it
Hmm.
was, say, 20,
Right.
30 years ago, right? So
Yeah.
now people are now opening up more and saying, oh, I'm into that too. And
Right.
meditation,
Exactly.
and, past life regression, it's becoming mainstream conversation, which is, I think that's brilliant. I think that's really
Yeah. Exactly. Me too. Well,
cool.
that's
Mhm.
great. And how can knowing your divine gifts be helpful with relationships?
Well, see, it's interesting because when I do relationship readings, I help people understand who they are at soul level because you can sort of feel you have a certain personality, but then you find out what your soul is actually like, and you realize it's sort of like giving yourself a break and saying, "Oh, okay, now I understand why I am this way, so I can be that." That's part of your authentic self, right? And
Yeah.
then your divine gifts, like if you have say in this work, we have eight energies, soul energies. So if you have the divine communication as one of your energies, you would tend to process out loud. So you need to have good listeners around you. You don't want to have people that are trying to solve things for you.
Mm.
So if you know that about yourself, you're able to communicate that to other people around you to say, hey, I'm gonna I kind of talk things through, but I come around to the answer. I don't need you to just hang in there and listen to me. So that sort of helps. And then if you have the divine love is another example. So people with the energy of divine love and the divine gift means they're just a natural healer. So you don't have to always do for people. You can just be for people. So
Oh,
that's sort of, yeah, isn't that nice? It just
yeah.
cuts you some slack and says, oh, I don't have to feel the need to always heal people and help people. I can just go and hold space for them and be with them, and that will help. And then that's people are like, oh, okay. And then they
Yeah.
can, invite those relationships where people are, just able to accept them for that.
Oh, right. That makes sense. And what are some of the reoccurring blocks that you see with your clients?
I see a lot of conditionality, which
Oh,
is, that negative thought form of I have to be a certain way, like we talked about before. I have to do certain things and I have to be a certain way for people to accept me and to love me. And particularly in a relationship, if you go into a relationship not being your authentic self, you can't you can't continue that, right? If you start turning yourself into a pretzel, the stress will do something to you,
Yeah.
or the relationship will just break apart because you can't maintain that different persona. You can't wear that mask, forever. I
Mhm.
mean, you could, but it would be kind of painful. And I also see a lot of what we call constraints, which typically they come up a lot in past lives because we give our power away, to our parents, or to even to a partner if we're young, or a teacher, and we allow them to think things about us, or say, maybe somebody puts a constraint on you of self-criticism, and then you just come to criticize yourself because that person said that that was how you should be. So I find a lot of that little negative thought forms, things that we think about ourselves, that came from a certain situation that happened in our lives. So it wasn't that we just came up with it. Something happened, we created that, and then we just carried around with us.
I see. And just kind of going back to you living alone or by yourself at the age of, was it 52, you said?
52, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. How long did you
Mhm.
live by yourself? And I'm just curious what you learned from living alone.
Well, I had lived, like I said, I'd lived with other people until I was 52. I
Right.
still live alone now, and I'll be 59 this year.
Yeah.
So I really just learned that I can stand on my own 2 feet, which I really didn't think I could. Being married for 25 years and that relationship dissolving, as much as I wanted to leave, there was fear as well
Mm.
about being on my own. But then when it finally happened, I was like, this is so cool. you know, I
Yeah.
can actually do this. I can take out my garbage. I can fix something. I can ask for help. I learned that I can actually ask for help from other people, and people are great. Your friends, rally around, and I had lots of friends that had lived on their own. So it was really fun, and just sort of trying to understand relationships. I became very interested in how other people do their relationships, because I don't think I thought about it before I got married. I was 25, and I don't think I'd really dated before I got married either. So a lot of us from our generation, right? We got married young, and
Yeah.
we just didn't know. And now I'm so curious now, because there's so many different ways that people, do relationships. So I've learned
Yeah.
a lot, just about being and doing what I want to do. It's great.
That's
I
wonderful.
highly recommend it.
Right. I
Yeah.
recommend it too. It's great, just to,
Yeah.
because I have some friends that, in the past, maybe they weren't happy in their relationship and they said, well, I can't leave because, I don't make that much money or whatever. But, I think you can do whatever you want. If you know what I mean? If you want to live on your own, there's ways we can make things happen, right? You know?
Yeah, and you got to start,
Yeah.
and manifestation, law of attraction.
Yeah.
That's all part of it. It's like,
Right.
"Hey, universe, I need to do this for me. So show me
Mhm.
the way, and just be
Yeah.
open." Like, so many people, I even talk to clients that say, "Well, this is, and I can't buy a house, and I can't do it." And I said, "You can do anything you want if you
Yeah.
just think outside the box
That's
and try to
right.
come up with some different things." And I
Yeah.
also just wanted to say, after 5 years of being single, I did meet someone. So I did find love again in my, late 50s. And I'm very happy. It's a very different relationship, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow. So
So,
that's
yeah.
possible too for people because I have clients too that say, gosh, well, I'm such and such an age and I'll never meet anybody again. But, you know, you met somebody. So that gives us all hope.
I did.
Right?
I did. And
Yeah.
that's what I help people do,
Yeah.
is to find love again, to sort of
Yeah.
let go of some of those
Right.
blocks and things from past
Hmm.
relationships. And yeah,
Yeah.
and it's totally possible. You have to take action, you have to do things too. But if you really
Right.
want, if this is something you want, then yeah, absolutely you can.
Sure. My friend's mother, she passed away, but her dad found love again 5 years later, and he's close to 80. So, it is possible to find love
Wonderful.
again and be happy, right?
I know. I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I think we're all meant
Mhm.
to be in relationship as humans. We are meant to
Sure.
relate to other people. And some people say they're happy in their single, and that's fine as long as they have friends, as long as you have
Sure.
relationships of some sort. Like, try not to
Yeah.
be super isolated. Just,
Right, exactly. Or even
it's
a
helpful.
pet would help, right? Sorry. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how does what you do complement other therapies or healing practices that someone may already be doing?
So yeah, and I mentioned this because I have worked with people who see therapists, and I think
Mm,
that's great. And what I can do is actually go in and sort of target some areas that they might want to explore further. So if I'm able to say, okay, these blocks are coming up for you at such and such an age, and they'll tell me a little bit about that story, but they may want to take that information, and as they're working to affirm the release of those blocks, and take that information to whoever else they're working with to say, hey, I've learned that I've been holding on to this, and there might be like a chakra connection, and they might need some chakra work, or they might want to go to a past life regression around that time that I've uncovered something that happened in that time, and they can sort of explore it and expand the healing on that. So that's kind of how that they all sort of integrate. And I honestly think we all complement all of our healing modalities complement each other. So it's nice that we're not competing. We all add. And as I was going through, like, I've been through depression, and I just tried so many different things. And I think it's important to do that because it's you don't know what's going to flip the switch, but it's usually a combination of things, right? You just
yeah.
sort of try all sorts of different things and see what works and what helps, and nothing is wasted, right?
That's right, exactly. And I just was curious, what types of people do you generally work with? Is it people having relationship issues, or I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, I work with
Mhm.
singles looking to find love again, or
Mm.
to work on relationships. I also work with couples who
Oh,
would like to, understand each other better and sort of get through some things in their relationship, or just to expand and explore their relationships.
oh,
And I
that's
also
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also do soul clearing work. So that's like soul realignment. So if you, even after you've done a relationship reading, you might want to go a little deeper and work on yourself. So that would be like a soul realignment type. So, I mean, I work with a lot of women sort of in my age group, and sort of the 40s, 50s, who are sort of, sometimes we're sort of, if you're a mom and wife, you've done all those sort of roles, and then you've come to be maybe single, or your children have grown up and left home, and then now you're like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right, so you're sort of trying to learn about yourself again. So that's the type of people that I work with too. And then, I end up connecting with men. I work with the husband of a wife that I've done a reading with. Like, it's sort of like just sort of goes all over. And then I'm
Okay.
I'm open.
Oh, that's great. And you usually do you do it on Zoom or in person, or?
Yeah, I do primarily on Zoom, just because it's nice.
Yeah.
Because some of the sessions can be quite long, so it's nice to be in the comfort of your own home when you're doing this kind of work.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. That's very convenient. Well, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. And what constitutes a spiritual journey in your opinion?
I think for me, and I've talked about this too, that I kind of fell into my spiritual journey by, and I came through it through, depression, and sort of coming out of depression, and then realizing that there was more than just my physical body in this physical lifetime. And that was sort of the opening of a spiritual journey to me. Some people go, a lot further into it, and they read a lot of books, and they explore a lot of different religions, or they go to India, or I mean, a spiritual journey can be a very small thing, like a meditation could be a meditation practice, or it could be that you walk in nature every day, or you can go right to the other spectrum, and you could
Yeah.
become a monk, and that could be your spiritual journey. It's such a huge spectrum. Like, but if people are afraid of saying, "Oh, I don't know what a spiritual journey is," you're already on it. If you're asking the question, you're on a spiritual journey.
Oh,
So,
wow. Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
be open, and pick up a book, or watch a podcast, watch some of Jamie Lynn's podcasts,
Oh,
and
thank you.
learn, yeah, and learn lots about spiritual journey on
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Of course, of
And
course.
how does someone know when they're ready to do healing work?
I think I've thought about this, and I listen to a lot of gurus on YouTube about
Mm.
you can wait until you're in a place of crisis to do something for yourself, right? For me, it was depression, and for other people, it's anxiety, or it's financial issues, or it's different things that you feel like you need to go through a healing journey. So I would suggest that we're all ready. We all need to go through some healing. I think it's important to recognize that as soon as you can, and to try it out, because it's really, you don't realize how much there is there that you might want to heal until you sort of step back and start to self-reflect and self-evaluate, because you can sort of head some things off. If you feel like you're spinning out of control and you're in a high stress sort of situation, you maybe need to pull back before something physical might manifest for you. Like, it's important to to really just pay attention, because a lot of people just don't. They wait till they hit a wall and then they start with the healing. So I would suggest that you get ahead of it. Do the preventative work,
Yeah.
to work on yourself. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
that's wonderful. And I don't know if you want to tell the audience just your website where people can find you on social media.
Yeah. So I am on Instagram at Life Guide Coaching. That's my company name. And my website is lifeguidecoaching.ca. And I also have created a guide for how to finding love again. So a guide to getting to a healthy relationship. So that's just at lifeguidecoaching.ca /relationships. And
Oh,
I would love to
wonderful.
talk to anyone in your audience that would like to have a chat.
Yeah, that would be great. And so, if we go to your website, what services do you offer? Is it just the one you told us about, or do you offer other things? Or
Well, I do. So I do relationship readings, and then soul realignment, and also property energy clearing. So, which I find is really important, and it's all done distance. So I don't have to go into your space. I just need to access. I just need the access to get in, and I can clear out negative energies that are stuck in your space. Because quite
oh,
often, if you're feeling down in your home, you go somewhere and you're feeling okay, there's some stuff stuck in your home that we can work on and clear. So that's really cool. And then life situations. I use the Akashic Records for so many things. It's just, and I can custom work with you. So it's really kind of a fun thing that we can do a lot of different readings.
oh wow, how fun! And then
Mhm.
normally, how long is a session with you? I'm just curious, like if somebody came for like a relationship coaching or
Yeah, so that's usually about an hour. The soul realignment's a little bit longer because I do channel past life stories for that one. So that's maybe an hour and a half. But I just give you all that information up front so you know what to expect. And we do everything on Zoom, and after the readings, there's 21 days of homework to affirm the clearing. So I'm hanging in there with you for that 21 days to support you, text or email, whatever you need. And I like to hear about the shifts that are happening, because there's always shifts that are going on, and it's really fun to go through the journey. And I always tell people too that it's only when I work with people, it's only what your soul is ready to release. So
Mhm.
it's not, and in any healing work, it's not just one hit wonder. It's not just one thing does it all. It's usually that you take a course of action and then maybe you come back and you do some more clearing work. Like, it's an ongoing thing, and we're not meant to finish everything in this lifetime,
Sure.
right? Like, we're
Yeah,
always working
definitely.
on growing and expanding.
Yeah, right. And as
Mhm.
far as working with relationships, do you ever get anything on ghosting? Because I get that with my clients, and I think it seems to happen a little bit more frequently now with social media. People get ghosted, and that's a hard thing for people. I don't know if you ever work with that or if you
I
encounter
was
that.
I actually experienced ghosting after
Oh,
dating someone for a while, and I was like, "Oh wow, that was hard." But
yeah.
in hindsight, it was good that I did go through it, because I I guess it was a lesson I needed to learn, or I needed to experience that.
Mhm.
So what happens in a relationship reading, what I do is just explore past relationships, or there could be a thought form that is surrounding that and kind of causing that to happen, or just it's something that you're attracting. There's some reason that that is coming to you. So maybe you weren't ready for that relationship. In most cases, I tell people when that something like that happens, it wasn't meant for you. And don't worry, because what's meant for you won't pass you by. It wasn't meant for you. And I know I get emotionally attached every time. I online dated for a couple of years, and yeah, it was painful because
Right.
I got emotionally attached. I had to learn how to detach a little bit and how to understand what was happening and why. And then I
Yeah.
was able to then attract the person I was meant to be with. So
Right.
yeah,
Your
it's a
vibe.
process.
Oh yeah, it is. I didn't mean to interrupt. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And because I had one client, she was ghosted by a friend. So that doesn't happen real often. It seems like it's just dating, but she's been working on herself, this client of mine. And I said, maybe your energy was going in a different direction than your friends, and maybe your soul contract was up. You know what I mean? Maybe you did what, maybe she didn't attract it, but maybe um they just went in different directions. you
Well, and
know
I like the analogy too of, your life is like a book, and some people
yeah,
are with you for a paragraph, some people a page, some people a chapter, and some people multiple chapters of the whole book. Like
yeah,
you don't know how long someone's going to be with you. And I've had friends sort of, drift away and come around, and I wouldn't take it as never take it personally. It's
yeah,
always about that other person and what they're going through. So yeah,
right,
just never take it personally. It's not you. You didn't cause it. You are part of the process, but you're not a bad person because someone decided they didn't want to talk to you anymore, or they're obviously got some stuff, right?
right, exactly. So but then
Right.
that's kind of probably where you come in. Maybe they could work with you if they don't have that closure from the other side, that maybe that you could help them with that.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it's all
yeah,
about. It's soul
sure,
clearing and getting to know
yeah,
yourself and building your confidence and releasing the
definitely.
negative thought forms.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And then our tagline for the Electric Spirit podcast is igniting your spirit. How do you
mm.
ignite your spirit, Marilyn?
Well, I do it in kind of a soft way through meditation and just sort of my morning routine, like, reading things that inspire me, like Tosha Silver or Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, or Abraham Hicks, and then doing my meditation practice and a little bit of exercise. But also, I started taking singing lessons, and I love to go dancing and live music. So stuff that really gets my vibe going. So that's fabulous.
That's really cool. I like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
How
just went
fun.
last week we went to a choir, which is a big, like it was 2,000 people. And these two guys are hilarious. They tour everywhere, and they taught us like how to sing together, all together, 2,000 people. And it was
Oh,
2 or 3 hours of singing. It was incredible. Like we're just humming when you leave, right? It's
wow,
just,
that's
it's really cool.
amazing. And
Yeah, it's
that's
really, really
great
fun.
for your throat chakra singing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
so
wonderful.
sometimes when you think you have to be all, your spiritual journey needs to be all like, oming and meditation, it doesn't always have to be that. It can be
No,
just singing your favorite songs too, right? That is
exactly.
exclaiming and proclaiming and being spiritual, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I do that through acting because I have a acting coach.
Oh,
So I do, yeah, so that's how I kind of do it. And it's interesting. You do the singing. How fun.
I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. Some people do it through painting. So, you don't have to just go out in nature. You could play an instrument or,
Yeah.
something like that.
So many
Yeah.
things, like people express themselves, but do try to do something creative, particularly if you have a desk job and you have like
Yeah,
your 9 to 5, or you're grinding at your desk. Always have a little outlet, something you like to do: running, walking,
definitely.
singing, dancing, like you say, playing instruments, whatever it
Yeah.
is. do a little bit of that doodling,
Yeah.
sit down
Yeah.
and doodle or journal or, just do something that can, like you say, ignite your
Yeah.
spirit, just to
Yeah.
wake you up a little bit. Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's wonderful because you're using different parts of your brain maybe because if you're working, let's say in a law firm or you're working in an engineering firm, you might be working with one part of your brain, then doing creativity, you're using
Yeah.
a different part of your brain. So kind of interesting.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
all a muscle. It's all
Mhm.
these things that we
Yeah.
just need to practice, just
Yeah.
practice.
Definitely. Marilyn, I really enjoyed having you here today. I don't know if you want to add anything before we go or.
I just would encourage everyone to, don't think it's too late. I'm going to be 60 next year and I'm looking forward to my 60s. So, if you
Yeah.
feel like you can't start over, or you feel like it's too late, please know that it isn't. I've reinvented myself a few times and I may do so another time. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's listening to podcasts and taking a spiritual journey. It's just such a wonderful experience and I recommend it.
I'm so glad you were here today, Marilyn. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jamie Lynn, for having me
Thanks.
on. I really enjoyed
You're
it.
you're welcome.